officially, I think it was officially chartered with Rotary International maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but we refocused on cultural exchange and youth exchange, and kind of went to town beginning in January. We've had so much fun with it. So thank you for being here today. For those, one moment. Oh, my announcement. This is for the Rotex on the call. People who are Rotex. One of our own, Emma Mulhern, who is the North Star Rotex president this past year. Someone correct me if I'm getting this wrong, is running for Rotex International President. There's only 3 people running, 3 or 6, I'm sorry, 3 in the first screen. Anyway, you can vote for her only if you're Rotex. So you have to put in where you went, what year you were, all the rest. So I'm going to grab this as the meeting starts, and I will put that link in the chat box, but she asked that we pass that along and that you consider voting for her. But that would be really cool. About our e-club, we've really, speaking about Rotary and people not being involved for a long time, I mean, that sums up my personal experience with Rotary. I was an exchange student to Mexico, had such a great experience, life transformative, all the rest. And then college hits and professional hits and kids hit, and 20 years, 30 years go just flying by. So I never joined. And so now I'm a member. We've tried to keep the dues really low for this particular club. So 25 a month or discounted to 270 for the year. If you are a member in another club, we have our supporting e-club friend program. Elka is a new member. Thank you very much for that. We'll do more formal recognition coming up, but it's $100 a year to help a new club get off the ground. And just for, being able to join, we have makeups. So Al, anytime you need a makeup, you just let us know. All right. If you ever can't make your regular meeting, to keep that, keep your record going. So, and then next week's speaker, as mentioned, Elke Schmidt, Austria 2526, speaking on, it should be a really great meeting, experiential learning abroad and at home. Please join us for that. Our meetings are always Wednesdays at 4:30 p.m. This link is always the same. So if you have the link, you are ready to roll. And then this week's speaker, Ty and Rachel. So Ty was an exchange student to the Faroe Islands, kind of a protectorate of Denmark. And I was the exchange officer through North Star at the time for Faroe Islands. And so I got to know Ty really well. And Rachel, I was an exchange student to Mexico also, as I just mentioned. So I went to Oaxaca. I'm not sure where you were, but I'm sure we will find that out pretty quickly here. So yeah, nice to have a fellow Mexico Rotex on the call with me.
It is.
So with that, I think I will stop sharing, and then Ty and Rachel, if you guys have something to share or to speak.
Well, we figured, I don't know, maybe we'll just talk for a second. And we do have a little slideshow that we can run through as well. But,
Sure.
But yeah, we're Ty and Rachel. So we just got married March 8th. It's like 1 week before everything shut down. We got married in at Lake Elmo, a little ceremony, and Greg was there with us, and it was
Grandpa Allen.
Grandpa Allen, yep.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. But we kind of have a whole Rotary background. So you want to talk about your grandpa and Marcia?
Yeah, Marcia Jardine, she was in my dad's house when he was 14 years old, and she kept in contact with them, and eventually it came here because she was here, and my brother was an exchange student here in Eden Prairie too. So
2011.
2011, yeah.
And then my mom,
amazing. That's so cool. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ty.
Oh no, my mom was also a Rotary exchange student to Germany in I think 82 or something like that, sometime in there. So we're kind of just this big Rotary like mashup of everything all together, but we love it. And I've been able to stay in the community and volunteer at our local Rotary clubs, and like Josh, and I know Jorge from when he was here, and Josh and I had done a bunch of stuff together, and Greg is a great mentor of mine, and Chrisanne's a great mentor of mine. Obviously John was my country officer, and so it's been really great to be able to help around here. But then I also got to do a couple little chaperone trips with different Rotary clubs in Hawaii, which is also really cool. But yeah, I've definitely been spreading the word of Rotary. everywhere we can go. And for me, it was like the most life-changing event in my life, like all the time. Even just making this little slideshow was like, oh, it's so nice.
I know, right?
Look at all these pictures again, and you know, you get that same kind of raised heartbeat every time you do it. But yeah, I guess let's just get into our slideshow.
Great.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
This one? Oh,
no.
Did I do that one? Oops, shit. No, that looks right? Is that right? Does that look like the right thing?
Yep. There we go.
Cool. So I need to start over. So this is us. And this is the first picture that we have together, actually. Winter weekend 2015 at whichever middle school that was. I can't totally remember which one. Yeah, so you can see over on the right is Rachel, and then me kind of hidden in the back. But this is the first event that we ever met at, and yeah, kind of when we first started flirting and getting together. And then, yeah, just a couple pictures of us recently. The picture on the left was from our trip to the Faroe Islands last year, and then the picture on the right is the day we got engaged. So this, John, you'll probably recognize this picture here on the left. That is our little country group got sent out. So it's Mary. She went to Norway, and Ayla to Norway, and Kenzie, I think, was also to Norway, and Mick was to Denmark, Catherine to Denmark, and then myself to the Faroe Islands. So this was kind of one of John's things. We'd all meet up at Perkins before we left, and then right when we got back. And that was right before I kind of learned how great Rotary was. And then the picture on the right was about a month later, and that is all of the exchange students in my district in the Faroe Islands. So that's left to right. It's Brano from Brazil, Josh from Australia, and then Andrea and myself from here in the States.
So in the left side is a picture of my Rotary Club in Brazil that sent me to Mexico. And the two, Max is from here, and he stayed in my house. He's in the left. And in the right, all the way to the right, it's a Mexican boy that also stayed in my house when I was gone. And then the right picture is everyone from my city, everyone that was staying in my city in Villahermosa.
And then these are our two towns. So Tórshavn on the left,
and Villahermosa on the right.
Little bit different, but so I'm going to start with my exchange just a little bit. So here's just a couple pictures. You know, the Faroe Islands are like super scenic, super beautiful, really relatively untouched culture as far as you know, places go. It's still, I guess I wouldn't quite say primitive, but they hunt the whales, and everything is based off of what you can get out of the sea around you. They only, very recently in the last 5,800 years or so, started bringing ports and stuff. Now in the bottom left picture, that's me with my host brother, and that's the national costume that they have. So they have one national holiday a year where everyone wears that, and then whenever a student graduates from their high school, they also have like a lot of parties where they wear those. Kind of a cool picture there in the middle on the bottom is a couple more exchange students with us. So that's me and Andrea and Brano from Rotary, and then we have two AFS students from Germany that were also staying in Tórshavn at the time, which is kind of cool. So we had a really small group of exchange students, but we all got to hang out together, like a lot. We were always together, and we got to do different little overnights here and there. And since it's the Faroe Islands, they're always like really cute, little quaint kind of cabins. The top middle picture, that is the southernmost point of the Faroe Islands. And on the next page, I've actually got what that looks over. And then on the bottom right is a town that my first host family was from. But I just thought that was like a nice little picture of a classic Faroese town. This is kind of the stuff that I fell in love with as far as the Faroe Islands goes, because anywhere you walk, you know, you just see the most beautiful, beautiful sights. So that top left picture, that's the view from that point that you could see us on top of the southernmost point of the islands. The top right picture, that was from the island that my first host family is from. And then the bottom left picture is it's kind of unique because the Faroe Islands, it doesn't actually snow very often except for on the tops of the mountains. But that was in March, and another Rotex who lives up there from Shakopee, Joel Cole, he took me up to the top of this. And so you can look across and actually see that's Tórshavn covered in snow. It's just the island right across from the capital city.
Yeah, really nice. Is that tie in that upper left photo? Is that a lake or an inlet?
Yeah, that's a lake. So it's kind of, I don't know the record on it or whatever, but that is a lake that has a waterfall that pours into the ocean. And there's something to it being like one of the highest sea cliffs in the world. But yeah, it's kind of a famous picture. You'll see it. Actually, I've been noticing like Amazon, is it the Fire Stick? Their screensaver has a lot of Faroe Islands pictures, and so I've seen this lake a few times before there.
Could I ask you one more question? Can you go back to the screen, and can I ask you about, is that the whale?
Yes.
Upper left, is that a whale? And is that outdoors or in?
That's outdoors. Yep. So that's right on a dock. So what the way that the whaling works is that it's really neat in that there's no money exchanged. You just, if you are hungry for whale meat, or you're going to eat it, you sign up for this list, and then if a group of fishermen sees a pot of whales, they call in to make sure that to see if there's a shortage of the meat, and to see if the pot is big enough, and then if everything works out, then they'll drive the whales to a beach, and then pretty much it turns into an all-day event. So people leave work. I mean, businesses tend to go pretty empty around a big grind. And then they'll bring up all the whales, and the different families will help each other butcher up the meat and take what they need home.
And how often would you say that happens?
When I was there, it only happened like 4 times. Sometimes it'll happen like once a month, 2 times a month at the most, but it's not super often. It is definitely a treat.
Very good. Thank you. Thanks.
So another cool thing about the Faroe Islands, in the bottom right-hand corner there, that is at about 3 o'clock in the morning. When, it's so far north, it's really cool. You can kind of watch the sunrise, just hardly kiss the horizon, and then it comes back up and it's daytime again. It's pretty, that was kind of a cool picture too. And then this was my Euro tour. So we did a big bus trip around most of Western Europe. We started in Denmark and went through Germany and, all the way around. But, just a couple of cool pictures from that, because everybody remembers their tours and how much fun those were. But this was my group, really proud of us. And there's me with my Brazilian friend, Brano. We're representing the Faroe Islands there in Paris. And then leave it to Rachel.
Yeah, so this is some pictures that I took when I was in Villahermosa. So in the left up picture is when I arrived in Villahermosa. I was so tired that day, but it was so nice. Everyone was there. 3 of my families were there. And in the bottom, I got to travel a lot with the exchange students that were in my city and the families. And then we went to those beautiful places, and we got to go to Palenque, which was is a site for pyramid. And I got really close to this German girl in the middle picture, and Xenia and Doris from France. And my first family that I got super close, I lived in a small village in my first house, which was close to Villahermosa. It was called Villa Parrilla. And she had a bakery, so we got to eat a lot of cake. So that was one of my favorite things. So I had to put one of the pictures there. And then one more time, that sign in Villahermosa was in Mexico City, and then we all took pictures together. We got to visit a lot of pyramids, and Mexico is so beautiful. We went to Cancun and other beaches. Mahahual was really beautiful. I don't have a picture of this Mahahual, but this bottom picture is from Cancun. And then I got to visit a lot of nature. We got in boats, and the top picture on the right is actually Palenque, which is really close to my city. And it was just so amazing that we could just drive there and visit the pyramids. And in the bottom part was one of my favorite cities ever. It's called San Cristóbal de las Casas in Chiapas. And I really loved visiting Chiapas because I had some friends, and it was about 9 hours in a bus, but I would go and visit them when I could. It was really, really fun. And this is like the pictures of the trips that I took. We had like a big group, and we did 2 long trips. So one was visiting the coast, so in the bottom of Mexico. And the second trip, we went to more the center and west of Mexico. And the middle picture on the top is actually, we got together with 3 other districts, and we had they had a really big party for us, and every district we did like dances, and we had like 2 days with everyone there. So that was really, really nice to see everyone and how they were doing. And one more time, I have a picture of all of us from Villahermosa. We got super close. I really miss them, so I put one more picture of them in the left up side.
Top right.
Top right. Yes.
And I think that kind of brings us to when we got together. So as shout out to Josh, there he is there in the middle, and then Sam, your sister, is there in the top as well. But when Rachel came up to Minnesota to go to university, she had to go through the TOEFL exams first.
Yes.
And so she had to be in St. Croix Lutheran for 6 months. And at that first winter weekend in 2015, we ended up meeting, and then she became a pretty essential part of Rotex as well. But yeah, we kind of just grew our relationship through Rotex at first.
Yeah, and it was Marcia Jardine and Grandpa Alan Jardine that introduced me to the group of Rotex. So I have to thank them so much for that.
Yeah.
It was a big part of my life. Yeah.
And I can't lie, I thought that she was an exchange student at first, and then it turned out she wasn't. So that was pretty nice. But when she came here, I was a student at the University of Wisconsin River Falls, and so it just kind of happened that Rachel decided to go to River Falls that following semester after she passed the TOEFLs, and then from there we started to get a lot closer.
I also got very close to Olivia. She was one of the she went to my state in Brazil when I was in Mexico, and she met the exchange students that were in my house, which is really funny. And when I came here, I got very close to her, and she was talking about River Falls, and I ended up going there because of her and Ty. So that was really nice.
So then from there, right when she got here, this was kind of funny. So when I was a sophomore in college, I went to prom one more time, and it felt a little bit funny, but Rachel had never been to prom before, and I had to get like special permission and stuff. But yeah, so there's Rachel's first and my last prom picture on the left. That was a pretty fun experience. But I've been a glass blower since 2015, I guess, right? Yes, a little bit before we met. When Rachel came to school at the university, then she also became active in glass blowing. And so the bottom right picture, in collegiate glass blowing, there's this fun thing called Glass Olympics, where a bunch of different schools will meet up and then do fun little glass games together, like little competition, and eventually someone becomes a winner somehow. And that was a year we took second or third, but that's kind of a cool picture of us. And we've lived in a few different places. So in the top right, we spent a summer in upstate New York at the Corning Museum of Glass, and that's us on a walk with some of our friends there. And then we spent some time in Connecticut teaching glass blowing to some more kids. This is another couple trips of ours. So on the left, that is Rachel and I in Brazil, in her home state. And on the right, that is me and my family in Thailand. So you can see my mom and my dad on the left, and my dad is Thai. So Rachel got to come and meet the rest of my family on that side and see
Yeah,
how I was.
we both got to meet our families in
and that was
our countries. Yeah,
that's been pretty nice. I can't lie, that's been really, really fun to be able to continue traveling and meeting families and kind of learn cultures. It's been really, really exciting. This is just last year, so I got to go out and help that fellow Rotex, Joel Cole, who's also an artist in the Faroe Islands, and it just worked out that Rachel was able to come out as well. And so this is one of my host families that I'm still very, very close with. So we got to spend a lot of time with them hiking and just visiting the Faroe Islands. I was really, really happy to have Rachel get to see that. So that's us on the left, and then there's Joel on the right. And I think that you guys have interviewed him in the past, but he's a woodworker, really, really fabulous woodworker in the Faroe Islands. So this is also on the right side here, another really, really cool picture, because the girl to our right is also a Rotex, and she was in Rachel's district,
yeah,
when she was in Mexico, and I went to her going away party in the Faroe Islands. So when Rachel came to the Faroe Islands, that was like, they got to meet up again, and we got to see each other. And her family hosted my Brazilian friend, Breno. So, I mean, as far as the small worlds of Rotary goes, like, that's got to be one of the smallest ones.
And so she was in all of the trips that I took too. And when we truly got close was when I came to the Faroe Islands and stayed in her house. And that was really nice to finally like have like a Rotex friend again. Like that was really nice to see her. Yeah.
Such a small world. That's crazy.
Isn't it
Yeah.
tiny? It's just
it's really
crazy.
wild.
So since then, both of us have been very, very active in arts, specifically glass blowing and photography. But this is what, 20 minutes. Specifically glass and ceramic, and then photography as well. So this is some of our work from college that we did together and photographed together. Kind of going to scroll through. This is from my BFA show in glass at River Falls. And then since then, we've continued working together. And Rachel's gotten a lot into photography. I'll let her kind of explain these pictures here.
So this was actually in the protest that happened. In the right side was close to our house, and we got to go and protest. And I took some pictures while everything was happening. And on the left side was during one of the protests, and we had just
marches.
Yeah, and we had just bought a camera, and I got very interested in photos, so those are two of my pictures. And I also take pictures of Ty, so he can document, and yeah, those are two pictures. This is my interior design work.
So Rachel goes to
the U of M, the University of Minnesota, for interior design. And this is my last year. And those pictures are a housing design. And then in the bottom, I got to design this university that I got to compete and get selected to the national competition for a national competition for interior design.
Just to clarify, those aren't photos. Those are all rendered by Rachel. Those have all been completely drawn from just a blank background.
And on the bottom right is my drawing. I also do a lot of drawings.
Really cool.
Thank you.
And then this is some of my more recent work. So I've been able to have a good amount of opportunities to travel and see different types of glass blowing, and it's kind of affected my style. I guess I like to work in a lot of patterns. And the bottom three I actually got to make and photograph in Denmark last year. I got the chance to go and help this really, really amazing studio out, and I learned a lot from them. But yeah, that's just a little sampling of my work as well. And I actually think that we might be at the end of our pictures there, but I know we kind of ran through all that really fast. Would you like to kind of open it up to more of a dialogue, or you want to see some of those pictures again?
Yeah, it's great. Why don't you, let's see, we're not seeing you while the pictures are up. So why don't you, yeah, Olga just says gorgeous stuff. Really, you know, if you can, yeah, if you unshare and then hopefully
Stop broadcast.
Okay,
Okay,
there we
cool.
go. Yeah, great. So one thing is just, you know, do you have a website? Do you sell your stuff?
Oh,
Are you,
yeah.
like, we would put it in the chat for us because it's
Okay.
really, really great stuff.
Sure, yeah, I can definitely do that.
And how we usually handle questions is just if anyone has a question, unmute yourself. I'll call on you and you can ask Ty and Rachel anything you would like. Sam, do you have a question? Are you sure?
Not yet.
Your mother was looking at you. Stephanie was looking at you.
I have one.
Yeah.
Go for it.
And so I'm super impressed by your art. That is like really incredible. And I'm just curious how your interactions with people, particularly of different communities, or your time traveling or living in different places has influenced how you see the world, and then how you choose to express it through your medium. And I guess that'd be for both of you, because you're both incredible artists.
I'll start to that one. So one thing that I feel like I've noticed a lot is that since I've been traveling, I've actually like, I don't want to say my mind is opened up more, because that's like kind of a dumb thing to say, but you know, I feel like I'm more, it's easier for me to see beauty in lots of other cultures. You see it a lot of times where someone will, you know, like if it's not done the way that you do it, then it's wrong. And I feel like just having the ability to go around and meet all these different people, it gives you this more of an opinion of, well, there's not really a wrong way to do anything. It's more so about opinions and what your, you know, what your cultural background comes from and how you apply what you like to what you do. And so I think that that's really influenced my work. And it's given me a chance to really be able to look into lots of different styles of art and lots of different, you know, types of blowing glass, even, because it's tough to imagine, but there's a million different styles of blowing glass. And so it's given me an opportunity to really look and have a chance to think through those. And yeah, and that just kind of applies to my work, because then it gives me all these great ideas that I can just decide what I like the most and the patterns that I like and the results that come out of them. And I mean, glass blowing is kind of meditative, so a lot of what I do comes down to the actual process. I love blowing glass, so when I find these processes that are just fun, I stick to them too. So it's, I think for sure that has influenced me a lot, simply because there's so many cultures in the world and there's so many beautiful things to the different people that I've met.
Yeah, I agree with Ty. I think we have a very similar idea of how to look at the world. And I think a lot of the times when, I don't know if I speak for both of us, but a lot of the time that when I travel, I like to not just go to the tourist areas, but
Definitely.
I like to explore, truly explore, get lost, and eat whatever we find, and truly know the area, and that's how you find the beauty and sometimes the good things and the bad things, and you learn with both of them everywhere that you can go.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times with cultures, it's like those tiny subtle things that are the most beautiful. You know, when you can, when you actually have the eyes to see those tiny little nuances between cultures, when you really start to expand. Yeah,
and going to Mexico is so, it's a lot of patterns, a lot of different cultures, a lot of they see the world in such a colorful way, you know, and so colorful. And then we went to the Faroe Islands and everything's so beautiful, so clean, and I feel that I can apply anywhere that we go. And Thailand, when we went, is like so much gold and monuments, and you know, everything that you can apply in your own way, your own point of view into the interior design. And now I'm getting in more into photography, so in that too.
I just have a follow-up question. Ty, I know that you had referenced a couple of times in your presentation Joel Cole, who was an exchange student from Shakopee to Faroe Islands in the 80s.
Yeah.
And he was our very first E-Club speaker, if I'm not mistaken, but he showed a lot of his work in the wood room. You know, he's this great woodworker, but a lot of your glass stuff kind of reminds me of a lot of his wood stuff. I know that you guys were, you know, you spent some time together while you were in Faroe Islands. You were out to his art studio and all the rest of it. Do you feel like there was an influence there?
Yes.
And for Rachel, kind of very similarly, just personal observation, Brazil seems to maybe embrace modernism a lot more maybe than other countries or other cultures. And I just noticed in the design that you did a very modern, sleek. I love what you said about the patterns from Mexico, because I can see them in like your wall coverings and everything. So just kind of like maybe I'm delving a little deeper into influences from the past.
Yeah, I mean, Joel definitely influenced me. Like, it's tough to not be influenced by someone when you start working with him, and especially I got to be pretty hands-on with his work, and it was like finishing and things, so I wasn't actually part of the creation of the shapes, but just working with someone, you really get an idea of, you know, where their ideas come. And it's pretty cool to work with Joel because he works with a lot of wood that has I forgot exactly what he calls it, but it's like rotten veins through the middle. So, you know, he'll like look at this piece of just grody looking wax covered wood and be like, oh man, there's some depth in there. That's so beautiful. It's so amazing. And it's, you know, it was really exciting to see that. And before that, I was definitely working a lot more technical. I wanted things to be very symmetrical and perfect and just, you know, high level of technique showing. And then when I got out there, it started to become more clear that sometimes if you leave things a little bit less perfect, you can still show a lot of technical ability in it. So it doesn't, I mean, it just doesn't have to be exclusive to each other. So I think if, you know, if anything, that's what I learned the most from Joel. And he also does just so much of what he wants to do. He's not working necessarily just to make money, and he's not working just because he wants to do this. It's because he wants to make what he's making, which I really, really adored. And I loved working with him for that. And he's got all the hookups too. You know, he knows so much. A lot of what he does is just having studied his craft for so long. And it's definitely pushed me to read more and find more of the history of glass and of art. I mean, art in general too. But yeah, that was a huge influence being able to work with him.
Awesome. Thank you. Rachel, how about you? How about this home influence from Brazil? What do you think? Or is it more influenced by Mexico, or just the mix of everything?
No, I think in Brazil, what I always tell Ty is like I want to design also to create this space that in Brazil you're always surrounded by nature. In my state, I was always like traveling to a farm or my grandparents' houses. You can see monkeys and you can find snakes, and I always tell Ty that I'd like this natural environment and like how it's so good for us, and I try to introduce that into my design, but in a clean way that also is not too much and not disturbing to the user. But in my state, they use a lot of like wood, and I think that's what I use a lot in my my projects. And yeah, and I grew up, my aunt is a jewelry designer, my grandma is a painter, my other aunt is a painter, and my other grandma who passed away was a singer. My uncle is a singer, so I was always surrounded by artists since little.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I think that was a lot what I like to bring to my design, is to have also local artists, which you can see a lot in the houses from Cuiabá. A lot of local art into the walls, and it's usually amazing artists that it's only known in my state, and you can see in almost all of the houses. And I really like that idea of supporting local artists into architecture and design.
Thank you so much. I just have to say the two of you speak in a way that seems like you're so much older than what your years are. You really have this way of speaking. It's really pretty amazing. Other questions? Vicky, you have mute up. Do you have a question?
Well, I was remembering a gift that was given, and Greg White can help with this, but Ty, did you make a glass piece and gave it to St. Croix Falls? Yeah, okay. You gave it to that club and thanked them for hosting the Halloween event.
Week. Mm-hmm.
And I've thought of that gift so many times. I thought, what a priceless gift to give. And maybe Kirk knows where it lives now, but lucky person that got that. Greg, do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember very well. And not only did Ty blow that for us, but also Ty engraved the bottom of it. So it says somewhere from Rotex to St. Croix Falls Rotary, thank you so much, or something like that. It was really a beautiful piece and a beautiful gesture. I'm not sure Kirk is online right now, but Kirk probably, or somebody in St. Croix Falls has it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I believe it was given to the club, and it's displayed well, they meet in a restaurant, so I'm not sure exactly where it's displayed, but I have seen the piece, and it was displayed at different times, and yeah, it was really neat.
So maybe they want to find a good insurance value on that, since Ty is going to be world famous one day and have his work all over the place. So that's cool.
Ty, I wanted to say that was such a sweet gesture of yours, because how many years did St. Croix Falls, Taylor's Falls, host that Halloween weekend? I mean, that was a huge effort.
Long time.
Many years. They still do it. And so that was just the nicest thank you. Thanks for thinking about it.
Yeah. No, it was a lot of fun to make that too. I remember that. That was a lot.
Well, obviously we remember it too, Ty.
Other questions? Yeah, Chris.
I have a question.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead. I'm saying Chris. I'm sorry, Michelle.
Okay.
Stephanie. Yeah, go ahead.
So, Ty, you mentioned making money, or your friend with woodworking. Do you make money off your glass blowing, or is it your passion? Do you have another career?
I have a day job that pays rent for sure, but that's also glass blowing. So there is a glass blowing studio here in Minneapolis that sells glass, like light fixtures, like light coverings. Not chandelier. I guess we do chandeliers, but like I blow the lighting for it. It's really pendants. Yeah, the pendants. It's really kind of neat because my bosses have figured out this way to take just plain recycled, like beer bottles and pickle jars and different bits of lots of broken glass, and they've added different like fluxes and reducers to it so that it all fits together. So glass isn't really supposed to do that. You can't take a beer bottle and melt it to a pickle jar, but they figured out a way to crush it all up, melt it all together, and then they have 3 colors. And so kind of a frontier of green glass blowing in that case. But I am also on my days off working to create my own business, and so I do make a little bit of side cash on that, but that's more just trying to drive towards a future and being able to survive off of my work.
Do you have your own studio?
Do I have what?
Your own studio?
No, I rent at a public studio here in Minneapolis.
Great. Thanks. Okay.
Yes. So, well, first, thank you for sharing those pictures of our exchange. I actually remember you, Ty, of course, from back in 2015.
I was so excited to
orientation. Yeah, a long time ago. I remember you. And if I'm not wrong, you, Rachel, were here too. I can't remember that well, but anyhow, I wanted to ask you guys. Of course, you Ty, and you, Rachel, you're from 2 different cultures. How have you, like, what are some things that you have incorporated into your lifestyle? Say you, Ty, for example, some of the things that Rachel brings from Brazil, for example. I know food is really good in Brazil. Feijoada, guaraná, for example. right? So, so some of these typical foods from Brazil that you like, Ty, and of course the other way around. For you, Rachel, what are some cultural things that you have incorporated between you guys?
Well, well, in here we're in his parents' house right now, and I love Thai food. I think that was the biggest thing.
My dad cooks a lot.
Yeah, I got to experience that because in Brazil you can find Thai food, but not as much, and it was so nice to have that. And I love food, so that was really nice.
Yeah, I will say right away, Rachel is a much braver eater than I am. So, you know, we went to the Faroe Islands. There's like all sorts of this kind of rotten meat that they eat, and so I was never super into it, and Rachel, like on her first shot, was into it. But as far as the food that, you know, we share with each other, yeah, I guess we kind of do a pretty good mix in general. It's we do a lot of like salads and fresh meat and fresh. I don't necessarily know if we really stick to any one
beans. I have been making beans.
And I've been able to go to Brazil, and I love the feijoada and the pacu and like
he likes farofa.
I love farofa, farinha.
Farofa, right?
Everything. Other little things, because there's definitely been changes in my life since we started like dating even. Like, I mean, a small one that's kind of funny is like my room is a lot cleaner now. Usually before it was like really messy all the time. And that's not the way that it is in Brazil. You know, you can't eat food in the room in Brazil, but you can in the States. So funny little things like that.
Found our own way to.
Mm-hmm. But we're also weird to our friends. So like our friends think we're a little bit strange. We just do things a little bit different sometimes.
I think we're all strange. So.
Yeah, it's Rotary, right? Gotta be a little crazy.
Other questions? I just think you guys are like the cutest couple, and just, you know, I was going to comment on this before too, like unusual kind of today to be married so young. I don't know exactly how old you guys are, but I can do the math backwards, but it seems like more and more younger generations seem to be putting marriage off. So it's kind of neat to see you guys taking the dive.
Yeah. People definitely thought we were a little young, but you know, we kind of knew we wanted it from really, really early on. And it's been just a constant goal. And I wouldn't say we're quite out of the woods yet. We still got to get her permanently here legally.
Green card, yeah, we're applying for that.
And that's coming. That's a whole nother process.
Very good. Other questions?
You know, I had a quick question.
Yes, Stephanie.
So, Rachel, Tat, you two are adorable, and thank you so much for being here. It was really just a treat to see your slideshow. So I think we all love glass and that whole process. So living in the Twin Cities, I'm going to just, you know, be partial to my hometown. Is there a place where one could go, never having done it, to try it or to, you know, experience it?
That's the studio that I actually rent time from to make my own work. And so it's called FOCI, F-O-C-I. It's the plural form of focus. And they, you know, they cater to professionals and people trying to make a living off of it, but then they also have lots of discoveries and intro classes. And so right now they're running like a glass blowing 2 and a neon 1, and there is a cold working class and a kiln casting class. And those are just right now. And they're also running like kids camp. So they have a 8 to 12 bracket and a 12 to 18 or something. But yeah, so there's a lot of different programs that they run. And we're also in the process of a big move from the 2010 art block over to the Seward area.
Close to Lake, Mini
right off of Minnehaha. Yep.
Nice.
So
is there a good, you mentioned several classes, is there a good one for beginners?
For beginners, do a paperweight discovery or a pint glass discovery. Any of the discoveries are going to be the one you want to like taste it with for sure.
Great. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Stephanie, if you do that, I'll do it with you.
Awesome.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Should do it.
John, can I cut in?
You sure can.
Should do an e-Rotary class.
Me again.
It'd be fun.
I want to do it too.
I'll just say that FOSI also has a great booth at the Minnesota State Fair. I realize this is the wrong year for that, but boy, we always go to the FOSI booth at the State Fair. Collectively, I think it's really quite fun. Ty was kind enough to give me a tour of his studio, the FOSI studio, 6 months or whatever it was, and that was really, really fascinating. Great to see. It was awfully darn hot, of course, because they got to melt a whole lot of glasses. But that was cool. But that was great. Thanks so much, Ty. But unfortunately, we can't go to the State Fair this year, so we're gonna have to wait to go see that booth. But I'm sure there are other exhibitions we can see. I do want to kick in also that I was reading an art magazine somewhere along the line, and they claimed in this magazine that art glass is the fastest appreciating form of art in the world. And so that while two-dimensional paintings, et cetera, are valuable, art glass seems to appreciate. So what it's worth.
Wow, cool.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Also, FOSI does some parties and they do demos,
yeah.
so that's really fun. And there's like all of the art community. They come in and there's drinks and food and demos, and usually it's super fun.
I'll have to let you know about those. The parties that FOSI can throw are like pretty spot on.
Were your majors in college art?
Mine was. Yep. I'm a Bachelor of Fine Arts with an emphasis in glass.
Okay.
Mine was too, but then I transferred to the U of M for interior design. But I did glass for 2 years.
You started with art. That's great. Just to stick on FOSI for just a sec, I have our group as Stephanie, Lindy, Olga, and myself. Anyone else? Okay, Sam.
Yeah, look at that.
Greg.
I'll join. I've already done it, but I'll do it again.
Okay, I just want to make sure I get everybody. Jorge, you're invited. Come on up.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jorge has glasses in Ecuador.
Hey, Ty, what's your website?
I'm gonna grab that right now. I'm trying to figure out the Zoom thing.
Okay.
Well, actually, Ty, people love all that glasswork here in Ecuador. If there's some way we can import your work to the country, it'd be a hit here in the capital. Of course, man.
Cool.
That's what we're here for. Business development, Rotary. Yes.
I love that.
I wonder if there's a way we can get Ty to teach our class for us.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Definitely possible, for sure. Yeah, if you guys were to kind of, obviously make,
That's okay. Get your website. Grab your website, so we don't need to look at. I mean, I love both of your faces.
That's my Instagram right there. My website, I haven't paid for it yet, so it's a really confusing, confusing URL. But I'll find out my phone here. But yeah, it wouldn't be difficult to get it all organized where I could teach the class, and they're pretty easy. They're fun.
That'd be great. Are the classes going on during COVID, during this time?
Yep, we're still doing them right now. There's a lot more, obviously there's a lot more precautions. Of course. It is a little bit strange to blow glass in a mask sometimes, but yeah, it's worth it.
I will say that I remember when I did my class, I definitely wanted to stay 6 feet away from people.
Yeah.
Either if they were spitting the glass because it was like molten hot glass that I didn't trust my sister not to hit me with. Because I didn't trust myself not to accidentally whack somebody with it.
Yeah. That's like the scary one. You never want to hurt somebody else. If you get burned, it's whatever. But if you stab somebody else with glass, then you got that guilt that weighs on you forever, and instead of just a cool scar.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Other questions, other comments? This has been a really, really fun meeting, you guys.
Really fun.
Really enjoyed this. Okay, here comes the website.
Okay.
// T1. Okay, that's it right there.
Great, wonderful. I wanted to Vicki, could you had put this into chat, but can you tell us about your speaker tomorrow? Because I know you're on the diversity board for the district, and you have kind of a powerhouse in the youth exchange world joining you tomorrow. Can you just introduce or tell everyone about that a bit?
Yeah. Todd Jenkins is Zooming in. I should have it right in front of me where he's actually living. What if I could pull that up quickly? Anyway, he's been one of sort of the lead people that speaks at any of the NIAN or the Rotary Youth Exchange international conferences, and he speaks on equity and inclusion. He has his PhD in this kind of area. He's a Black man. He wears a bow tie. He calls himself Dr. Bowtie Jenkins. He's a bit entertaining. He can be really fun and make you laugh, but he also makes you think. And Rotary International has been using him, I've noticed quite a bit recently, for doing some webinars or Zoom meetings talking about inclusion and equity. So I think it's going to be a fun meeting tomorrow. I'm going to start the meeting with an invocation by a woman in the Twin Cities named Sun Mi. Maybe you've seen her poem or poetry that she composed in honor of George Floyd, but it's called The Price of a Black Man. It's really powerful. And so I'm going to begin the meeting with that, and then we'll let Todd speak. So if you come on to the meeting at 11:45, you can be put into a chat room until 12:10, then we begin our meeting. So I'd love to have you. We've got plenty of space. We usually have about 50 people on the call, but maybe tomorrow we'll have a lot more. And I just encourage you to come. And,
thanks, Vicki.
Yeah.
Any final questions for Ty or Rachel?
Another thing, Don, all of you Rotex people might be interested in listening to Emma Mulhern. She is going to be our speaker at our Rotary Club on Monday, the Roseville Rotary Club.
Sounds good. Do you have a link for that meeting by chance that you could throw into chat, or beyond current capabilities?
Yeah, I'm not able to do it from I'm watching this on an iPad or on.
Yep, that's what I thought. No problem.
Yeah, but you can go into the Roseville Rotary website and ask our secretary for it.
Very good. Okay, so we end our meetings at the Rotary four-way test. If everyone can take themselves off of mute. So the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth?
Truth.
The truth. Fair. Is it fair?
Fair.
All
Concerned. Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
Will it be beneficial to all
concerned?
And while we're all off mute, how about a round of applause for Ty and Rachel? Really awesome. Really nice presentation.